Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The issue of poker machines has dominated the final leaders' debate, with the Premier conceding his gaming policy will hand the machines to pubs and clubs. But today, the Liberal Party defended its policy as leasing the machines to businesses, an argument rubbished by Labor.
A forum driven by the people quickly turned to the debate over poker machines.
Do you think that it will completely address the issue of problem gambling?
Its access, we know, is the main driver of addiction for people and accessibility of these products.
You could still go down to Sandy Bay or Launceston or onto one of our spirits and do it anyway, so it's not going to fix problem gambling.
The pressure soon building on the Premier with concerns over an influx of advertising by the pro-pokies lobby. Will Hodgman put on the spot about what's on the line for pubs and clubs this election?
They don't own them now, and they will own them under your policy.
Yes, and that'll provide a greater return.
But they're not paying for the machines.
Less of a return to federal hotels, more of a return to individual pubs and clubs.
Now Tasmanians finally know the truth. In the last days of the election campaign, they know that the Liberals would give away these poker machine licences.
It's an admission the Treasurer was quick to defend, denying the licences, estimated to be as high as $250 million, would be a giveaway under the Liberals.
How can you claim that we're gifting them the machines when we're charging them a licence fee, we're taxing them, and there'll be additional levies to the value of $320 million over 20 years?
They're confusing tax revenue with a licence agreement. They are completely different things. They've been caught out. They've adopted the industry policy. They are gifting a licence.
It comes as more federal group staff have raised concerns with Southern Cross News, with personalised letters sent to home addresses urging the support of the Liberal Party. The letters have some staff upset they're being targeted at home, but federal group says at no stage have they directed staff how to vote.
Big business influencing people's votes and influencing parties' policy should be disclosed before an election.
All donations will remain unknown long after the ballot on Saturday. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Meanwhile, both parties have revealed the financial fallout of the election campaign. Forecast future surpluses will shrink significantly if either wins government, with both promising to keep the budget in the black.
Putting the finishing touches on his party's election campaign.
Forwards, not backwards. Why would you want to go back?
Will Hodgman today releasing a 100-day plan for a re-elected Liberal government.
We will hit the ground running, as we did 4 years ago, because we won't waste a day in ensuring that Tasmania continues to head in the right direction.
Within the first 100 days, the Liberals would move to introduce a lower payroll tax rate to assist businesses, cap power prices, reintroduce legislation to take over Taswater, and establish a health recruitment unit to employ more medical staff. The party also today revealing how much its election commitments will cost.
We are prepared to explain to Tasmanians how we will fund our policy commitments and that we will keep the budget in surplus.
The costings reveal total forward estimate surpluses will shrink from what's previously been forecast because of election promises. Increased dividends from MAIB also set to boost the bottom line.
The Liberals are relying on cooking the books in order to make their budget stack up because they've overpromised and they can't deliver.
Labor says it submitted all its costings to Treasury today, releasing a financial statement late this afternoon containing a 3-year forward estimate with an average yearly surplus of almost $12 million. The party maintains it will invest in essential services, including upgrading the Midlands Multipurpose Centre if it wins Saturday's election.
This is a major investment for health services.
This is the biggest employer for the Oatlands community, and we need to make sure that we maintain investment in this facility to support the healthcare needs of this community.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
And on election night, Southern Cross will have live coverage from the tally room at 6 p.m. And the latest developments throughout the evening will also reveal the Southern Cross News exclusive exit poll for the first indication of the election results. That's Southern Cross News from 6 p.m. on Saturday. Property prices in Hobart are continuing to rise, boasting a 3.2% increase over the past 3 months. And while that's good news for some, there are fears about what it means for housing affordability.
The latest CoreLogic report paints Hobart in a very favourable light. While most capital cities saw housing values fall, Hobart's rose.
Hobart's really standing out as the best performing capital city market, being driven by its sheer affordability, as well as some improvements in interstate migration flows and a lot of buyers looking for the lifestyle benefits that Hobart has on offer.
Property in Hobart has risen in value by around 13% over the past 12 months.
REIT figures are predicting the same sort of numbers, but coincidentally the REIT figures, which have just been released for January, are showing a decrease in the number of transactions in Hobart, but increases in Launceston and on the northwest coast.
Sydney was the worst performing capital city according to CoreLogic in the past 3 months, with a 2.4% drop in housing prices since November. Prices peaked in July 2017 and have slipped nearly 4% since then. But the REIT says we won't be seeing that trend here.
I believe we've got probably 12 to 18 months of continuing price increases in Hobart, and that's being purely driven by a shortage of rental properties and a shortage of houses for sale.
Interestingly, the value of properties in regional markets outperformed capitals, rising an average of 0.9% nationwide.
We're really seeing this flow of buyer demand into lifestyle markets, particularly coastal lifestyle markets, as well as the very large satellite cities.
But there are concerns about what this means for those doing it tough in our communities.
It's becoming incredibly hard, so people are getting pushed further out from the city and people are struggling to maintain housing. The research indicates that a third of Australians, if there was any shift in interest rates, would really struggle with their mortgage repayments.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
A 21-year-old Bridgewater man will face court tonight following a string of dangerous driving offences. Tasmania police say the man was avoiding apprehension in relation to another matter when they detected him driving dangerously around Bridgewater, Glenorchy and Berrydale around midnight last night. At one stage, the man drove the white Ford Falcon directly into oncoming traffic on the Brooker Highway. Road spikes were deployed in Berrydale this morning, where he was arrested. With Tasmania home to the second highest rate of suicide in the country, there are calls for more to be done. A nationwide suicide prevention program is being trialled here, aiming for a more collaborative approach to helping those at risk.
On average each year across Australia, more than 2,700 people take their own life. It's a prominent public health issue that this group is keen to shed more light on.
Whilst suicide statistics are concerning, I'm also positive about the fact that there's a lot being done to address suicide.
It's really important that we as government, as non-government, as service providers and as community members work together to look at how we can reduce the impact that has on our broader community.
Tasmania is one of 12 communities taking part in the trial, which is based on a program called Lifespan. It includes 9 research-based strategies for preventing suicides, including promoting resilience in schools, improving confidence for frontline services, encouraging safe media reporting, and improving emergency and follow-up care.
So this is looking at a new approach at how we bring all those different services together within a local community to try and reduce that rate ultimately, but do it in a more coordinated and collaborative way.
$3 million has been provided from the federal government for the Tasmanian component of the trial, which is set to run until June 2019.
We're doing a lot of work at the moment in equipping the community to be more resilient and able to withstand the pressures faced with isolation, some of the significant risk factors affecting suicide. So I think anything that helps the community to be better equipped will be great.
Findings from the trial will be shared across the country.
We'll be guided by the communities in Tasmania, and the Black Dog Institute is here to provide support and advice around what the evidence is so that they can make the best decisions for what they do in their communities.
And if you or anyone you know needs help, please call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian Ariane Titmus has cemented herself as a genuine medal contender in April after upsetting Olympic bronze medalist Emma McKeon to win the 200-metre freestyle final at last night's Commonwealth Games swimming trials. The 17-year-old clocking a personal best time of 1 minute and 55.76 seconds, shaving 0.86 seconds off her PB.
My training's been really great leading into this, so I'm not too surprised by the swim, but I'm happy that I could do a PB.
Police and family of a missing North West Coast man fear for the 54-year-old's welfare. Douglas Thomas Murchie was last seen leaving his Somerset residence around 5:30 last night. He was driving a silver West Coast Realty Hilux ute. Anyone with information is urged to contact Tasmania Police. Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra will soon be undertaking a global search for a new managing director, with Nicholas Haywood stepping down after 17 years in the role. The 65-year-old started in 2001, overseeing a successful China tour, award-winning performances and collaborations with contemporary musicians.
A really strong orchestra, playing as well as it ever has, with an international reputation and some money in the bank, and a really good team to move things along.
Under his very strong leadership, the TSO has flourished. As you know, we play a major role in the cultural and artistic life of Tasmania.
Mr Haywood will retire from the role at the end of this year. Teams of local medical researchers have been awarded grants from the Royal Hobart Hospital Research Foundation in support of their crucial work. One of the projects will trial a model currently used for cardiac rehabilitation following a heart attack on patients who have experienced a stroke.
The funding itself is for 1 year, and in that time we'll develop the program and do a small study in a group of people that have had stroke, and then from that we hope to do a larger study over the next few years.
We've got a lot of research happening in multiple sclerosis, cystic fibrosis. This year osteoarthritis of the knee seems to be a bit of a feature as well.
The foundation has granted $680,000 to research projects this year. A team of dedicated conservationists is sailing off today in an annual effort to clean up some of the state's isolated beaches. The volunteer crew will travel for 10 days around the southwest, collecting rubbish that's travelled from as far as Africa.
It's scenes like this keeping cleanup crews motivated. 33 volunteers today setting off on a 10-day cleanup expedition to the state's southwest.
Collecting rubbish during the day, and then of an evening we come back and count it and itemise it.
There's not that many places left, I think, that are that wild.
Crews cleaning up marine debris, with 97% of rubbish found on the annual trip unidentifiable plastics.
They poison everything from the ground up, basically. They work at the cellular level, and when they get broken down, they never completely disintegrate, they just get smaller and smaller, and so they enter the food chain right at the very bottom.
Much of it travelling through international waters, with last year's team coming across a French champagne bottle.
It was done by a scientist. He had a little $1 US dollar bill sitting in the bottom of it and a note saying get in contact.
The expedition aiming to raise awareness of the impact of plastics, with a cruise journey able to follow online. Meanwhile, 2 research teams are preparing to travel to the Southern Ocean to analyse its impact on the world's climate. Data will be collected from moorings in the area to be used by scientists around the globe.
We turn them around every year. They make every measurement from meteorology on a tower, on the mooring, right down to the seafloor.
And also we think our supply to the Southern Ocean is going to change in the future, and that will probably mean a shift in the productivity that will sort of ripple through the food webs.
The RV investigator returns in 3 weeks. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Organisers of this year's Soggy Bottom race are hopeful that more than 200 people will take to the water this weekend. While the event typically sees a wide variety of creative boats like this one, there are regulations that should be followed.
You're not allowed to cover your entire boat with duct tape, and you shouldn't use waxed cardboard or any that sort of cardboard. So usually it's just normal cardboard from cardboard packaging and some duct tape to hold it together. But of course, if you happen to have made a waterproof boat, well then we'll stick you in the illegal category.
Fair enough. The annual day of racing kicks off at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday at Waverley Park Lake. Now let's take a look at the day's business of finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has fallen for a second straight day as Wall Street tumbled and several large stocks, including Woolworths and Rio Tinto, traded without the right to their latest dividends. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 42.7 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.3 US cents and 63.37 euro cents.
After months of setbacks, the Tasmanian State League fixture has finally been released, accompanied with a new smartphone app. Consisting of 3 games and 1 bye a week, the 7 teams will play each other 3 times over the 21-week fixture. Round 1 kicks off with a Good Friday clash between the Demons and the Tigers at North Hobart Oval, followed by the Launceston Derby between the Blues and the Bombers at UTAS Stadium. The women's fixture will be released in the coming days. To basketball, and Hobart Chargers President David Bartlett is promising fans an NBL-style experience at the deck this Seabull season in the hopes of doubling crowd numbers. And fans will have one more reason to turn out, with the women's side securing another key import.
Aiming to become an NBL-ready club within 3 years, the Chargers are lifting their game in 2018.
What Chargers fans are going to see this year is a massive uplift in game night entertainment, crowd engagement, just the whole production.
With 3 new sponsors on board, Bartlett is now hoping crowd support reflects the club's ambitious push forward.
Now, we tripled our average audiences last year and that was really strong, but we need to grow them again this year by 25 to 50%.
With encore performance key to making that reality, the women's side have locked in one of the strongest key position players in the competition in Brittany Smart, after years of trying to entice her to Hobart.
WNBL quality import guard, played for the Melbourne Boomers for the last 3 years and just finished off in the grand final series, and previously played with Sandringham in the Seabull.
The American rounds out the Chargers list, with Michaela Roof opting to return to the Tornadoes after spending last season in blue.
We're no longer friends now, so she's gone to Launceston, but no, just kidding.
Smart is set to arrive a week before the Chargers' opening round clash against Kilsyth on April 6.
A quality scoring option in the guard position, but also, can defend and rebound and is a really good distributor as well. So really fits, I guess, what we're looking for.
Good evening. Hobart 20 degrees today, Launceston 25, Burnie 24, while Devonport's 26 was the state's high. Partly cloudy around the state with a shower over the west and south. Most of the rain overnight though, with Cradle Valley recording 42 millimetres to 9 a.m. Low Head and Wynyard 24 degrees today, Flinders Island and Bushy Park 22, St Helens 21, Grove and Campania 20, King Island 19. Now the southwesterly airstream brought the cloud to Tasmania, Victoria and also to coastal regions of South Australia. A trough has cloud and thunderstorms over central WA, with more over central Queensland and the Territory. Closer up, and the scattered low cloud over the state today, conditions clear over Bass Strait. Tomorrow the high moves over the Tasman Sea with a cold front approaching Tasmania. Surface troughs remain over the far north. Winds mostly light and up to 5 to 15 knots, and variable as well until a slight leaning to the north-northeast during the evening. Tomorrow, a partly cloudy day, 22 the top for Hobart, Huonville and Campania, a top of 23. Launceston, bit of cloud about, a top of 22 degrees. A light shower for Devonport with 20 and also for Georgetown 21. For Burnie, partly cloudy, 20 the top, 21 the high for Strawn and Wynyard, while for St Helens, a partly cloudy 20. 20 also the maximum for Swansea and Port Arthur. UV, a high 7 for Hobart and very high expectations elsewhere. On Saturday, a fine day for voting in the east, but a few showers developing over the north ahead of a shower also for the south and west. Fine on Sunday apart from a shower for the west and far south and possibly later over the east, and a possible shower for the west and east coast early on Monday, but mostly fine. Fine in Perth tomorrow with 29, warm and partly cloudy for Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Brisbane. The chance of a storm for Darwin and Cairns. Little cloudy at the moment, 17 degrees in Hobart, cloudy in Launceston and 20, in Devonport currently 22 degrees. Bit of a rarity tonight. Joe and I are going out for dinner together. Now Joe, I don't want you whinging about everything you serve, the temperature of the beverages and how long it takes. I just don't want to be embarrassed, okay?
When have I ever embarrassed you? Thank you, Merv. Well, that's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. Thanks for your company.